no one should have to choose between their own safety and their pets. But nearly half of domestic abuse survivors delay leaving because they can't bring their pets with them. Purina is helping to create more pet-friendly domestic violence shelters through the Purple Leash Project, so survivors and their pets can escape and heal together. Visit Purina.com/purple to learn more.
I'm always looking for ways to show my cat how much I love her. And with Fancy Feast gems, I can pamper her whenever I want with a savory gravy on top of a gourmet mousse pâté. The pyramid shape makes serving simple, so all I have to do is peel and plate to make mealtime feel extra fancy. And with 2 entrees in every pack, it's easy to turn every day into the extraordinary. Fancy Feast gems.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Tom, are you ready for Top Chef Season 21, Wisconsin?
I'm psyched. I was not super psyched when I found out it was Wisconsin. I was a little bit taken aback initially when I found out it was Top Chef Wisconsin. But after this interview with C.J., which you'll later hear, our listeners will get to hear the lowdown on Wisconsin. And now I'm sold, Kevin. And we've got a new host. Padma has left after 20 seasons. And now we've got Kristen Kish, who's joining the Top Chef judges table officially with Tom Colicchio and Gail Simmons. And with that, Kevin, there's some changes here too. We are not just a podcast anymore. We have launched a Substack. What does that mean? You need to go to packyourknives.com, type in your email, sign up for free at packyourknives.com. But also, we would like you to be a paid subscriber and get all sorts of bells and whistles as a paid subscriber, which is going to be $50 for the entire season, for the entire year, just a one-time payment, and you get everything that we do here on Pack Your Knives. And also, we're going to build a community, a live chat perhaps during an episode or events. You'll get the first dibs on that. And we're going to have more articles, possibly some power rankings. We're basically beefing up our coverage of Top Chef like we are, as we set out to be, NBA writers who are covering Top Chef. We are going to do it a lot bigger and a lot better this upcoming season at Substack. That is packyourknives.com. And for the first week, the opening week, we are giving our audience $10 off the $50 a year subscription. So paid subscribers will get it $40 for the entire season if you sign up right now before the launch of the season premiere of Top Chef Season 21. So, Kevin, lots to get into here. Kristen Kish.
Brand new host, huge shoes to fill. This is one of the biggest moments in Top Chef history. I mean, this is, you're retiring a legend. You're bringing in a new host. Padma Lakshmi had certain attributes in spades. You're talking about stage presence. You're talking about authority. The fear Padma could strike in a cheftestant was honestly one of the more appealing components of the show. That steely reaction she would have. She sampled a quick-fire dish was very much a part of the dramatic tension of Top Chef. I know that's a reality competition trope. Oh, the mean judge that you're terrified of, but it does provide just a certain dramatic weight to the show. Obviously Padma became beloved by the chefs. They wanted to impress her. They were terrified to cook Indian food for her, but they ultimately loved her. And, one of the things Top Chef does very well is it's able to capture competition, but at the end of the day, we're all a family. But it is just an enormous amount of stage presence you're talking about with Padma. And, Kristen Kish obviously has her bones in television now. She's done a lot of different things. She is a Renaissance woman who's done everything from cookbooks. She has a restaurant in Austin, Texas, in the Line Hotel that bears her name. But it's still, you don't know how it's going to work until you get the boots on the ground.
Right. You can trade for Damian Lillard, and until Giannis Antetokounmpo and Damian Lillard lace up their shoes and play out on the floor, you don't really know how it's going to be. And Kristen, as you said, is very accomplished and not just an amazing chef. She also, Kevin, as you noted, was a co-host of a TV show, kind of a Anthony Bourdain type show where she was co-hosting with Cal Martino, one of my friends we grew up together, went to high school together. And she co-hosted that show where she would travel around the world, and it was called 36 Hours. And she was the host of a food show that she's got chops on that level too. So it's not just she won Top Chef season 9. She's also has that TV presence, that stage presence that you talked about. It's going to be big shoes to fill, but I'm a big fan of Kristen. She was on the short list that you and I kind of drew up, was like, who can you imagine filling the shoes of Padma Lakshmi? And Kristen Kish is as good of a candidate as any.
And also, obviously, a veteran of the show. In Seattle, season 10 she is very much, it personifies kind of the evolution of the show. She was one of the first last chance kitchen warriors, right? You might remember, Tom, she got eliminated very controversially in Restaurant Wars of that episode as the executive chef. You might remember it got a little contentious. She and Josie over a bouillabaisse and some cream. And there was some throwing under the bus, as you might remember in that episode. But then she ended up winning several straight episodes in head-to-head last chance kitchen matchups to work her way back into the final, and ended up winning the season. So that was kind of a fulcrum of the show, season 10, kind of halfway through the current show history. And but so she is a much of a veteran show, but it's going to be interesting. I mean, everyone says, what do you think? And the answer is, we'll find out. We'll find out. And in fairness to Kristen, I don't think anybody in the first half of the first season of their hosting tenure is ever going to be able to equal or eclipse Padma, but so some patience will be required. But it is a huge thing, and I'm as excited as anyone to see it. I don't know how it's going to play, and that's not a lack of confidence in Kristen. It's just, it's hard to remember the show before Padma. I mean, you almost can't imagine Top Chef without Padma, and that's a huge responsibility for Kristen. I don't envy her, but we're gonna see early on.
It reminds me of when Spo took over for Pat Riley with the Miami Heat. How do you fill Pat Riley's shoes? Well, now Spo's one of the top 5 NBA coaches of all time. He's done very well for himself, even though, he's not trying to be Pat Riley. He's his own person, and I think Kristen is well equipped to take this mantle and make it her own. So I'm excited for that. And I'm excited for the contestants here, Kevin. We've got 15 chefs that are part of this season. There are no returnees, which, Kevin, as we just got off of an all-star cast, an all-star season. And also, like in years past, Kevin, we've kind of had these different formulations where there's like a bracket of former Top Chefs who are competing in a little mini bracket to get onto the show, or they sprinkle in a Jen Carroll here or a Leon Wong there, and then they bring in some familiar faces. Not the case this year. This is 15 chefs who are well acclaimed, but they're not returnees. This is 15 new names that I think it's going to be exciting, a little bit different than last year where we kind of had some backgrounds, a track record, a familiarity with the chefs, and we could kind of pick our way through the scouting report based on past seasons. This one, it's 15 contestants, and I think what we're going to do here is you have 3 names that you are going to watch or have a keen eye on. I have 3 names that I've picked out. And we're also going to talk to C.J. later about a particular hometown chef in Milwaukee. So we're going to run through this roster quickly and get your scout, Kevin. Who are you most interested in watching this season?
Yeah, and these aren't predictions of who I think is going to be in the final elimination challenge. These are just chefs whose bios interest me, who excite me either geographically or from their culinary tradition. And my first name is a chef from Houston, which is one of my favorite eating towns. Michelle Wallace. And she is the proprietor of Between Sandwich Shop. And the reason I love this is I love, Tom, a good concept born out of a city's farmers market and festival scene, because for those folks, every day is a Top Chef challenge to sort of, cook for a 4-hour farmers market where the lines are around the corner. And then one of the other reasons I love Michelle Wallace as a contestant is biscuits, Tom, continue to be underutilized. Maybe not in your neck of the woods in North Carolina, but certainly out here. The fact that the biscuit is still more of a novelty than a staple in American cuisine, to me, is a completely missed opportunity. And Michelle Wallace has many specialties, one of which is biscuits. She serves, Tom, I want you to hear this, shrimp with mango saffron glaze biscuit.
Whoa.
She also does a smoked crab and blue corn biscuit, Tom.
Whoa. Let's get it on the Bojangles menu here in North Carolina. Let's get that. How do we make that happen?
Michelle Wallace is doing her part to bring the biscuit and elevate it. And she's also worked at one of my best meals of 2023, Tom, was in New Orleans at Pesh. She worked there. She has worked for Greg Gatlin, who is one of the deans of the Houston pitmaster community. So I like her lineage. I love what she's done on the ground in Houston, and I love her taste. So Michelle Wallace is one of my chefs to watch, Tom, for season 21.
All right, I have one too, also in the South. Savannah Miller, hometown, Southern Pines, North Carolina. Moore County, shout out to Moore County. That's, of course, the home of Pinehurst, which is the golf capital of America, or at least the cradle of American golf, is right next door of Southern Pines. So I've been to Southern Pines a whole bunch in my life. My grandparents retired to North Carolina in Pinehurst. Not known for its cuisine, Kevin, but I love to see that a local girl is coming into this competition from North Carolina, who grew up in North Carolina, who currently lives in Durham as a chef de cuisine of M. Tempura under Michael Lee, who is... what it looks like. I haven't eaten there, but according to the bio, she spent 4 years running the kitchen for a 30-seat tasting menu restaurant, learning all about Japanese and Korean cuisine. So I'm imagining a sushi challenge or some sort of Korean challenge that she's going to bring in some Lexington barbecue or some sort of Southern barbecue twist on it. Very excited for Savannah Miller coming from Moore County. So a little bit of a homer pick for me, but that was really cool to see that she was on Top Chef 21.
Good deal. Keeping in the South, Kenny Wynn is another one of my chefs to watch, largely because I'm in the tank for anyone bringing good vibes to Athens, Georgia. He is the exec chef of a very fun neighborhood joint there called the Expat. It used to be a French bistro. Now it's more of like an Italian trattoria. He's about to open his own Vietnamese place in Athens called Pretty Boy. I am pulling for him so that he can get some national shine ahead of the opening. Tom, Athens is never mentioned in the same breath as Ann Arbor or Chapel Hill or Boulder, but it is one of the great college towns in America. Obviously, its lineage in the music scene, what we used to call college music in the 80s, it has produced more of that great stuff than any place. Kenny Wynn, as a result, is a chef I'm going to watch, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do.
Valentine Howell Jr., he's from Dorchester, Massachusetts. He was born in Boston. So, of course, Kevin, as a New Englander, I got to rep Valentine Howell Jr., who is got a really strong resume here. He is an executive chef and also a James Beard Award finalist for Best Chef of Northeast in 2023. So he is peaking at the right time here in his career to come on to Top Chef and prove himself that, not just the accolades and the awards from James Beard, but also he's flexing a lot of diverse culinary experiences where his international food concept, Black Cat Eatery, it's got some Mexican flair, shared plates of Caribbean, Afro-Latin, and Latin street foods. He's also got some TV experience on PBS as part of the Movable Feast. So he's got really a 5-tool player here. I feel like he's got the TV side, he's got the awards, and he's got lots of diverse backgrounds that he's going to bring onto the show. Shout out to Dorchester and Valentine Howell Jr., who's on my list to watch for this upcoming season.
My last chef to watch is Rasika Venkatesa. Padma might be leaving Top Chef, and she is a native of Tamil Nadu, the state in India. But Rasika is a native as well. She grew up in Chennai, and she is going to bring Tamil cuisine to the show. That is her North Star. It's a great culinary tradition. You've had sambar, you've had dosa. Everything's always beautifully put on like a banana leaf. Love Tamil food. I got to eat it in Sri Lanka many years ago. She got her start at French Laundry. She is chef de cuisine at a restaurant in in San Francisco, in Soma, a Moroccan restaurant called Murad. And apparently right now she is traveling around her home state of Tamil Nadu to soak up even more of that culinary tradition. She seems like a great way to kind of honor Padma's legacy. And I'm going to be watching, just kind of love when one of the things that I think the show's done so well in recent years is really there's just more international cuisine present in every single quickfire challenge and every single elimination challenge. And this continues in that tradition. So I am watching Rasika.
Another San Francisco connection here with David Murphy. David Murphy is the chef and co-owner of Shuggies, Trash Pie, and Natural Wine. Have not been there, but it is on the best new restaurant list from, get this lineup here, Esquire, Bon Appetit, and the New York Times. Shuggies serves sexy share plates and grandma-style pizzas. Kevin, what's a grandma-style pizza? I'm envisioning just very basic, like pepperonis and lots of mozzarella cheese.
I have no idea. My grandmother did not make pizza. Yeah. My grandmother made kugel. Okay, so I have no experience in this.
My grandmother ordered pizza. Yeah, my grandmother said, "Hey, where's the nearest Papa John's or where's the nearest Domino's, Pizza Hut?" That was grandma style pizza. But David Murphy, I'm sold as. You know, I have a dog named Piper that I rescued a couple years ago. And so, of course, whenever you can sneak in a dog reference in your bio, I'm a big fan. So David resides in San Francisco with his partner and their slightly famous bulldog named Beef. Kevin, how much do you want to meet Beef one day? Doesn't that sound awesome?
I don't know that I would ever want to name an animal after a food. Beef. I would love to meet Beef one day. Beef is a great name for a bulldog, yes, indeed. And I love the slightly famous are my favorite kind of famous. Just the slightly famous. Do a quick rundown, Tom. I mean, there are a lot of interesting chefs also in the field. Alicia Lenz is sort of from that ranks of kind of the private chef and event company. We see more and more of sort of the private chefs are really proliferating in certain markets. She's out of Chicago. Where there is wealth, there is a need for private chefs. And it's actually a really fascinating way. It is a kind of a Top Chef challenge every day. Who else is on the list, Tom? We want to run through them real quick.
Yeah, so Amanda Turner from Arlington, Texas. She's got a little bit of a Kristen Kish connection here. I think they probably know each other because she is a chef in Austin, Texas at El LeMay. She's the chef de cuisine. So I do kind of like those moments where the judge will like look at one of the contestants and be like, hey, remember we used to, Buddha had certainly a lot of that last year.
Amanda Turner, who has worked for Paul Key. Tom, we'll tease it for our subscribers. You're very likely going to get the Tom Haberstroh definitive top 10 top chefs of all time coming as a premium item, very likely in the near future. Well, she worked for him as well as for Tyson Cole at Uchi. So she is part of the powerhouse Austin scene. And she also very intriguing chef testant making their way into season 21.
And then Charlie Pierre is also a Massachusetts guy. He's a chef in New Orleans, the head chef and owner of Frite. And so we have another New Orleans tie-in there. Danny Garcia from Brooklyn. Where Brooklyn at? He is the executive chef of the Saga Hospitality Group. And Kalina Bliss, she is the executive chef of Chicago Athletic Association. Interesting background there, and of Cindy's Rooftop there in Chicago. Who else we got on this list?
We also have Manny Barella, who was an emerging chef named by James Beard, native of Mexico, cooks out of Denver, which is actually one of the kind of low-key, one of the best Mexican food places in America. We also have Kevin D'Andrea, a French native who works in Austin, Texas. He's a French pastry guy. You don't get a lot of pastry stuff. Dessert, Tom, always kind of kryptonite on Top Chef. Maybe this is a guy who can kind of do a little marketing efficiency, and so he's an interesting candidate.
Yeah, we also have Laura Ozilmaz. I'm going to butcher that, and I'm sorry, Laura. Everyone butchers my last name too, so apologies there. But she is from Acapulco, Mexico, and also in San Francisco. Mays, our producer, I mean, he might be our best scout here, as all these chefs seem to have places in San Francisco. She is an executive chef and owner of Delita, so a big San Francisco contingency here on Top Chef Season 21.
And finally, Tom, we have Dan Jacobs, except I'm not going to do the intro on Dan Jacobs. We're going to have our next guest, C.J. Krawczyk, who is a Milwaukee native, knows Dan personally, and it will give us a scout on that. And then after C.J., we are then going to discuss some very controversial rule changes, huge kind of tectonic shifts in rule changes of Top Chef for Season 21 that we can all expect, and we can debate those a little bit.
Let's hear from C.J.
Hello, listener. It's producer Mays here to talk to you about Kindred. Now, close your eyes like Owen Wilson during a job interview and imagine a way to travel that feels personal, comfortable, and connected without the price tags and the sterile feelings of hotels or short-term rentals. Now, open your eyes and stop using your imagination because Kindred has made it very real. That's exactly what they do. Kindred is a members-only home swapping network. It's not a hotel. It's not a short-term rental. It's a smarter way to travel where each stay feels like home. Here's how it works. With Kindred, your home is your ticket. You earn credits by hosting fellow Kindred members, and then you use those credits to stay in over 220,000 homes in more than 100 cities worldwide. There are no hotel costs or rental fees, just the credits that you've earned. Every stay comes with white glove service, 24/7 trip support, and $100,000 in host protection. Make it easier for you to travel and enjoy yourself and not worry about details. I've used Kindred and I found an amazing home for a weekend getaway in an idyllic location with amazing views and great ambiance. It had everything I needed. And the best part was, it cost me $0. So apply now at livekindred.com and use code DINGS to join for free. Plus, you'll earn 5 nights of travel credit just for signing up. That's right, that's 5 whole nights for free at livekindred, KINDRED.com, code DINGS, DINGS, livekindred.com, code DINGS. Hello, listener. It's producer Mays here to talk to you about Quince and their cookware. Cooler nights mean cozy meals at home, and Quince's cookware has made fall cooking so much more enjoyable. Their pieces deliver the quality and performance of luxury brands, but at a price that makes sense. And they look gorgeous on the stovetop, too. No matter what item you need to complete your kitchen, Quince has you covered. With 5-ply stainless steel pots and pans, nonstick skillets, chef-quality knives, and even ceramic bakeware, which is perfect for cozy casseroles or Sunday roasts. And when you look at these prices, you might think, how is Quince doing this? How do they deliver high-quality items similar to high-end brands that are half the price? Well, let me tell you, they partner directly with ethical top-tier factories to cut out the middlemen and pass the savings on to you. And it's not just cookware. I got myself some bath sheets. That's right. When you're a tall man, you have to use bath sheets, not bath towels from Quince. It's like drying off with a cloud. It's incredible. Upgrade your kitchen for cozy fall meals with premium cookware from Quince. Go to quince.com/dings for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/dings, DINGS, to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/dings.
Listener, listen up. This is important, okay? I'm going to try to save you some money here. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. You may think like, oh, that's bad. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. Here's why I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for $15 a month. You heard that correctly. $15 per month. Ditch overpriced wireless and the jaw-dropping monthly bills. And of course, there are all these hidden fees and stuff, but at Mint Mobile, plans start at $15 per month. All the plans come with high-speed data, unlimited talk and text. You're not doing like weekend and nighttime minutes or anything like that. and it's delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone. Don't have to get a new phone. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all of your existing contacts. I switched months ago. People have asked, did you actually switch? Yes, I actually switched months ago, and I don't know what to do with all this extra money. I've cheated the system here. I've rigged something. This is an Ocean's 11 situation where I'm stealing wireless from Mint. That's how good a deal it is. Ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/dings. That's DINGS. That's mintmobile.com/dings. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 per month. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
Tom, we have a very special guest now. C.J. Krawczyk is a lifetime resident of Milwaukee. He knows all things Milwaukee, Wisconsin, all things Milwaukee food. He is a dean of the city. It's culinary scene, it's ethnic tapestry, it's culture. He is my favorite person to spend time with when I am in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And he is going to make the affirmative case for Milwaukee as Top Chef destination. I think it took a lot of people around the country. We're confused. What they don't know is what CJ knows, which is it is an ideal Top Chef destination. CJ, how are you?
I'm doing well. It's so nice to be here with you, gents, on your debut episode here in the relaunch Pack Your Knives. I'm honored.
I feel like we need you here, CJ, because I am one of those people who were confused, surprised. Wisconsin, Top Chef Wisconsin, Kevin's native Atlanta, his home city, didn't get Top Chef. Once again, we were kind of, volleying for that, lobbying for that. And of course, they threw us a curveball. And what you're saying here, Kevin, what you've been telling me is that Milwaukee is going to take that fastball or that curveball and just hit it out of the park like it's Robin Yount circa 1990 Milwaukee Brewers. Is that correct, CJ? You feel like this is going to be a great season because people are sleeping on the city of Milwaukee as not just a culinary city, but also just as an awesome city in America?
I do feel strongly about that, as Kevin said. And while you guys might have been surprised, as somebody who has been entertaining friends and clients and family members who come to town for decades, I was not surprised because Milwaukee it's not only a culinary sleeper, it's a sleeper of a destination. We have a lot going for us. And one of the things we have going for us, Tom, frankly, is that perception that you just talked about.
Yeah.
It's easier to impress people when they come in and they kind of shrug their shoulders and their expectations are maybe low for reasons that, they just haven't experienced it. And then there's a unique brand of hospitality in Milwaukee, and it extends to the restaurants. And part of that is just kind of our culture, the city's culture. It's a very welcoming place. It is a pretty humble place, honestly. Like, we don't self-promote maybe as well as we should. We like to kind of prove it on the field or on the court. And I think our restaurants do that. There's a couple of things that Milwaukee has going for it that I think you're going to see throughout the season. And some of them are structural advantages, and I think some of them are cultural advantages. From a pure food perspective, one of the things that Milwaukee has going for it that people maybe don't realize is it has
No. Okay. Sorry. That's just...
I'm getting there. You're right. That's where I'm going, is access to ingredients. I mean, one of the things that Wisconsin has is, yes, it's America's dairy land, and we're known for dairy farms and cheese. There's also just spectacular ingredients that are grown nearby these restaurants that you're going to see and these places you're going to see. And it extends beyond dairy. It goes to proteins, it goes to vegetables, lake seafood, and the like. So I don't think people realize necessarily that, this land was picked for a reason. It's fertile land, it's farmland. And when, a farm to table is kind of a hackneyed term, but when chefs are cooking seasonally, their ability to go to markets and see things at peak ripeness and fold them into their menus, that's a huge part of that movement, right? It's access more than creativity necessarily. And Wisconsin has that in spades. And I think you're going to see that highlighted. You're going to see local producers with just mind-boggling ingredients that are readily accessible here. There are culinary traditions here that are really interesting. Most of it from the dawn of the city is Eastern European and Slavic influenced. But you have these multi-generational recipes that end up in restaurant culture and end up in food culture. And it's a pretty rich, somewhat narrow, tradition, but it's a really well-developed tradition. And I think you're going to see that come through. And a lot of the basis for that is, people trying to feed working class families delicious food without a tremendous amount of resources behind it. So they're finding simple food and simple ingredients and trying to present it to their families or to their patrons in a way that is straightforward and is delicious. So I think you're going to see those traditions come through.
I want to talk about Three Brothers, which my understanding is becomes a major part of the Top Chef season. It is a place you and I have dined together. It is a place where Tom, I know, like we've talked, the San Antonio Spurs, in honor of its Serbian tradition, have entertained Greg Popovich. It is a place that I believe becomes a huge character really in this upcoming Top Chef season. And it is also, it just kind of represents that Milwaukee-ness.
My cheat code in Milwaukee is when I bring in people from the coasts, people who are used to dining at Michelin star restaurants or in gleaming rooms that cost $10 million to build out. We don't have any of those here. Okay. And if we, to the extent that we do, they're more seen as kind of corporate restaurants that maybe are not necessarily in the heart of Milwaukee culinary tradition. When I bring people to town, like I did during the NBA finals, I take them to Three Brothers first. They dine in a restaurant that is 75 years old. Their food is served on Formica tables. They are literally eating the heart food of probably the most important culinary families still working in the city. And it is just, I wouldn't call it low art, but it is something. I'm not trying to impress these people necessarily with things that maybe they've seen in other cities. Three Brothers is a unique kind of immigrant experience restaurant. It's an utterly unique place. It's in an old Schlitz Tide House back when, the breweries could actually have taverns. Whenever you see them sprinkled around the Midwest, they're kind of special places. And it's a one of one. And somehow either maybe between you, Kevin, or me or other people who got to the producers, one thing I will say about the Top Chef producers is they found all the stuff. They went into the city with open eyes and they tried to find the institutions that make Milwaukee, Milwaukee. And they started, my understanding is their first two meals, especially that first day, was at Three Brothers. And they fell in love with the city in the same way that I make people fall in love in the city, is eating burek and eating chicken paprikash and eating shababshi in the most simple, uncomplicated place and just being blown away. And Malunka Radicevic, who now runs the kitchen there, is as good of a host as you can have to introduce somebody to the city. And my understanding is she does pop up here during the course of the season, which is my favorite thing by far that happened during the course of the season.
So CJ, from an outsider, I'm here in Charlotte, grew up in New York area in Connecticut, and I have this image of what Milwaukee food is like. And the first thing that pops up is cheese and dairy. And, when you talk to people in Philly, sometimes they get a little provincial about their cheesesteaks, and some might be a little above the cheese. Say, if you really want to eat, real Philadelphia food, you ditch the cheesesteaks and go somewhere else. What is it about Milwaukee that you think lends itself to a wonderful dairy culinary capital, but also, do you think that it's overplayed, underplayed, or correctly played? It's basically identification as a dairy and cheese capital.
I mean, there's a reason why, when I think of cheese, I don't think of cheese heads. I don't think of novelty items. I don't think of like kind of reductive regional jokes. I think of like Pleasant Ridge Reserve cheese and like the Uplands cheese, which makes as good a cheese as anywhere in the world. Blakesville Creamery. Like we have world championship level cheesemakers that are in Wisconsin that are doing like slow food movement really important cheeses that are celebrated around the world. And, when that gets filtered through, culture and such, maybe it gets a little bit of a warped perspective. But one thing I will say about Wisconsin is Wisconsin's food is absolutely delicious. It's maybe not the most health conscious food in the world, right? Like a lot of times when I bring people through their weekend blowouts here, they look at me and go, how do you do this every weekend? Like this is, so how it translates to the plate, which I think what you're saying, Tom, is we don't necessarily have that one item that's maybe something that defines us. Although you're going to hear a lot about frozen custard on this trip, and people don't understand what that is, and it's hard to describe. Like, I think the Platonic ideal of something that's better than gelato, something that's better than ice cream, but is also the richest, butteriest. If you go to Leon's, which I understand the producers and the host did a lot, and you have a scoop of butter pecan, I mean,
it's a divine experience.
So that can be a life-changing experience.
Did you take Giannis there?
I did not take Giannis there. I have a funny Giannis story, which is there is another custard place called Kopp's, which is the most famous custard place in Milwaukee. It has a flavor of the day that people track almost to the point of obsession.
CJ, I have on my phone, my Kopp's app is on I live 1,700 miles away, and I check that flavor every single day, hoping for German apple streusel.
What do you mean you check for German apple streusel? You mean you're waiting, you're going to ship it to your house? What is that? How?
No. By the way, the saddest day of the last 4 years for me was when Kopp's stopped shipping nationally.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did actually. Giannis taunted me on a True Hoop TV episode by sitting down with Kopp's several years ago.
And that's Giannis Antetokounmpo, NBA MVP, Finals MVP, champion, who's just a delight. So, Kevin, that was one of the coolest things watching you go through that whole experience with Giannis. Yeah,
I interrupted CJ's story, but just to interject that I endorse Kopp's and am a sort of faraway obsessor and admirer of Kopp's, and go generally every single day when I'm in Milwaukee, and pay for it later when I get home.
I got to see Giannis eat maybe one of the first high caloric meals of his time in Milwaukee. The building that I'm in is owned by now Herb Kohl's trust. The legendary senator just passed away a few months ago, has been my landlord in this building for the last 27 years. And it is where the Bucks operations were for decades. Next door to it is a bar restaurant that is owned by the Kopp's group called Elsa's. And Giannis's first meal was a riff on a Big Mac that Elsa's does. And Dan Smichek, who you probably both know, who is the head of public relations for the Bucks, texted me on that fateful day in 2013, sometime in July or maybe late June, and said, "Do you want to meet him?" And I said, "I sure do." So I popped down from my office and I walked into a table, and I was confronted by then 18-year-old Giannis Antetokounmpo, who maybe weighed 190 pounds.
Yeah.
And he was eating a version of a Big Mac that Elsa served that had to be every bit of 1,500 calories. And I think that was the first of many as he transformed his body over those years. And I don't know if he had frozen custard to end that meal, but I wouldn't be surprised. Hey,
so CJ, we've got a new set of 15 contestants, and I do believe there's a hometown chef on this roster here. Dan Jacobs from Chicago is a Milwaukee resident and chef and owner of Esterev. Am I pronouncing that right? Esterev?
It is. It's for Esterev, I believe. Him and his partner, Dan Van Wright's grandmother's names are Esther and Evelyn. And that is their kind of food-focused chef's table, small number of seats. I think Esterev maybe has 15 seats or so. So that is one of the two restaurants that Dan runs, Esterev.
And can you give us a scouting report of what we can expect from Dan or maybe his restaurants in Milwaukee? Where is it?
Happy to. Dan is somebody that I'm proud to call a friend. Dan has cooked all around town at some of the most important restaurants during kind of the renaissance of Milwaukee restaurants before he opened up his own, he and Dan Van Wright. They have a mission style Chinese restaurant that's cleverly called Dan Dan, both of their first names, that has been around, I think 6 or 7 years now, maybe longer. And then inside Dan Dan, when it was started, was Esterev. And now Esther Ave was just recently announced as going to be moving to its own physical location outside of that restaurant. But they kind of did a restaurant and then a room inside that restaurant. And I think what you find out about Dan, who's also opened a French bistro with his partner over the time, is that he's a very versatile chef. Being able to cook mission-style Chinese food and some of the things, the Asian-influenced food. Esther Ave is very much, kind of a degustation-style multi-course menu with wine pairings that has a very family feel to it, where he and Dan are trading dishes a lot of times. It feels very personal to them. And it's excellent. And, they've also executed French food at a high level. So I think Dan can do it all. Dan's a relentless worker. And I think that those skills will probably translate very well. I'm not trying to influence people to draft Dan, but Dan seems to have a really good skill set that whatever they throw at him, he's a chef that doesn't just oversee and tweeze food. He's somebody who cooks food. He's somebody who I think will be able to roll up his sleeves and be really good in a competition like this.
C.J., I'm so thrilled you were able to join us. Expect calls and various inquiries over the course of the season. You are now our official in-house consultant for season 21 Top Chef Milwaukee, or Top Chef Wisconsin, as it were. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. I wish you guys really a lot of luck on this. I'm going to the official opening party on March 20th and watching it with Visit Milwaukee. And I think the city is really going to get behind this. I really think that you're going to see a lot of people activated over it. And from what I hear, the city and the state, let's not forget that they shot in Madison as well and some outstate locations. I think it's gonna do a heck of a thing for tourism in Milwaukee because, Kevin, you've experienced, Tom, I hope to be able to host you here sometime, a weekend where we come into town and we do Three Brothers and then we brunch at Uncle Wolfie's and we go to Kalu Kenzo at night. It doesn't get better. And I've been fortunate to eat and travel all around the world. And I know I'm biased, but I really think that Milwaukee's going to show out.
I'm already looking at direct flights from here to Milwaukee. Thank you so much, CJ.
Good luck, fellas. Really a pleasure. I can't wait to subscribe and to watch all season.
This episode is brought to you by 20th Century Studios' new film, Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, starring Golden Globe winner Jeremy Allen White and Academy Award nominee Jeremy Strong. Scott Cooper, the director of the Academy Award-winning movie Crazy Heart, brings you the story of the most pivotal chapter in the life of an icon. Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere. Only in theaters October 24th. Get your tickets now.
Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
Always love talking to CJ, love visiting with him, dining with him in Milwaukee. It's always a great time. And Tom, I did that in September during the taping of Top Chef. I am not at liberty. I have signed away my life in an NDA, so I'm not at liberty to tell you what I witnessed. But suffice it to say, I have probably some insider knowledge of who has survived the first several weeks. And as a result, I am ineligible to participate in the Pack Your Knives Season 21 draft. And that is another good time for us to tell our listeners, become a founding member of our Chef's Table, of the Pack Your Knife Chef's Table. $250 for the full year. And among the perks, you will get to draft my team against Tom on my behalf. Tom, you're going to do this. We're going to aggregate the collective draft boards of all of our founding members in order to draft my team, put it in trust because, again, I have specialized knowledge. Despite the fact that I cannot remember all of the chefs that were still surviving, I need to recuse myself from the draft. I'm going to let the founding members draft on my behalf. And there, in addition to that, there are also, Tom, some other rule changes we need to discuss not for Pack Your Knives fantasy, but for actual Top Chef on the ground.
Yeah, and Kevin, I got to say, I was excited when you texted me the other day saying like, I actually don't remember the faces of the people I saw on the show, which is good. I feel like I was working behind the 8 ball this season, that you had kind of been boots on the ground for one of the episodes this year. But you also, I think, are excited for the changes this year, excited to see how it plays out, because every year there's like a little bit of a facelift, a little bit of a tweak here or there, just like in baseball with a pitch clock, or in basketball, they add, a Elam ending, whatever it is. There is going to be a little bit of a tweak in the rules this year in Top Chef with, of course, Kristen Kish coming aboard as the host. Gail's still there. Tom is still there. The whole setup of the show still remains. The foundation of the quickfire and the elimination challenges. It seems like everything is still in place except for one thing. The quickfire is no longer going to award immunity to the winner for the elimination challenge. And in fact, the winner of the quickfire is going to get a prize, a cash prize or some sort of award for winning the quickfire instead of winning immunity. So that does change things for the gamesmanship, the game theory, the who do you want to draft on your team if you have to draft a team for your elimination challenge later in the episode. However, Kevin, there will be immunity this season, just not with the quickfire. The immunity this time will be for the elimination challenge winner. I'm going to say that again. The immunity is for the elimination challenge winner for the next episode. Wow. Okay. This is a game changer. It won't kind of revolutionize Top Chef, Kevin, but it does kind of make you think a little bit more about strategy, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And I was thinking about this overnight because at first I was a little skeptical of these rule changes, but I've decided I really like it for the following reasons. Winning the elimination challenge, it gets you a lot of points in the Pack Your Knives fantasy system, but other than warding off elimination by definition, because you've won, you don't really get anything. You get confidence, and we see it in the chef testimonials, right, Tom? Where he's like, "Wow, it felt great to win last week." At the top of the next episode, I'm really cooking my best food. But at the end of the day, if you think about it, you don't get other than, and we can talk forever about, hey, subconsciously did the judges start to internalize who the best chef is, so when they finally get on the chopping block, maybe they're given a benefit of the doubt because they've won before and they've proved they can really cook. But other than that, other than these sort of amorphous, kind of abstract advantages, there really has never been a reward, again, other than not being eliminated, for winning the elimination, which, let's face it, is a much bigger deal than winning the quickfire. The quickfire is more of a novelty, a smaller challenge. The elimination is the thing. And so it only makes sense. I kind of like this new change, which is, hey, if you want the real prize, which is immunity, you got to win the big one, elimination the previous week. Now, by the way, if you want cash, which is, hey, nobody's going to turn down cash, you win the quickfire, but it won't help you survive or prosper necessarily in the larger competition. You will get a cash prize. You will get the confidence that is bestowed upon you for having beaten 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 other chefs, that for those 45 minutes. But I do like this new kind of allocation of reward where the cash goes with the quickfire, but the real thing, the immunity, the guaranteed survival for another week goes with the much bigger task, which is the elimination challenge. So I am very on board with this rule change after thinking about it.
I'm actually warming up to it too, and here's why. I remember, you might remember this too, I drafted Natalie, number 1, Natalie Moransky, number 1, I believe, in Top Chef Kentucky in the draft, because she had won the first episode of that season's elimination challenge. She won. And so I drafted her number 1 overall because I had some data that suggested the winner of the first elimination challenge has a disproportionate lead on winning the entire competition. That if you win that first one, that is a signal that you've got what it takes to win Top Chef. And then she got booted the next episode. And it submarined my entire fantasy season, and it made me rethink everything. But that wasn't the only one. right? Natalie was just one in the Top Chef Seattle season 10 with Kristen as the winner. The first 2 Elimination Challenge winners, Kevin, booted the next episode after they won the Elimination Challenge. So the first episode winner, gone this episode 2. Second episode winner, gone by episode 3. So this is kind of safeguarding against that. And I hadn't really considered that point that you just made, is that like, yeah, winning Elimination Challenge is great, but there should be a little bit more weight to it. And this definitely gives that weight.
Yeah, I really, really like it. It's logical. I like sort of making a distinction between quickfire and elimination a little bit greater. I love both. Quickfires are a blast. And frankly, it is kind of fun to watch them compete for money. I mean, it's 2 different competitions. It's a different, one is sort of for mortality on the show. The other is, hey, I'm gonna go home and in my new endeavor to start my brick and mortar restaurant. This goes a long way, and I love seeing people win cash. It's fun. So Tom, I could not be more excited for season 21. Closing thoughts as we get ready to watch the season premiere.
First, everyone listening, packyourknives.com. Sign up for free at our Substack. Lots of really cool coverage. We're going to be doing extra this season, and paid subscribers, $50 a year, just one-time payment. You get the entire year. We're going to be doing coverage in the off season as well. So stay tuned for that. And if you sign up in the next week, we are going to have $10 off that $50 paid subscription fee for the entire year. So it'd be $40 instead of $50. And of course, we already talked about the founding members. But if you're listening, you are excited for season 21. I'm excited for this new quickfire elimination challenge tweak. I'm also curious, Kevin, about the fact that quickfire is now going to be part of the calculus on an elimination challenge judges table. So they'll probably be able to say like, hey, you screwed up that souffle for the quickfire, and that's going to be our tiebreaker. And sorry, pack your knives and go. Also, is Kristen going to do the pack your knives and go line, or is she going to have her own little catchphrase at the end? I hope she keeps it, but we'll see. Lots to get into this season. I'm excited. And thanks to C.J. for hopping on and mixing it up with us about Wisconsin. I'm sold. And I'm excited for this upcoming year that we're going to do bigger and better at Pack Your Knives. So glad you guys are going to be listening with us.
For Tom Haberstroh and producer Anthony Mays, this is Kevin Arnovitz, and this is Pack Your Knives.